Once upon a time, in a land of tall, whispering trees and twinkling fireflies, there lived two children who were about to go on the most magical and surprising adventure of their lives. Their names were Hansel and Gretel. And tonight, my dear friends, you'll discover what happened when these children followed a trail deep into the woods and found a house made of sweets. Hansel and Gretel were brother and sister. Hansel was clever and always thinking of plans. Gretel was kind, caring, and brave. They lived in a small cottage at the edge of the forest with their father, a woodcutter. But times were hard. There wasn't much food. Sometimes Hansel and Gretel went to bed hungry. Still, they held each other close and whispered, "Don't worry, we'll be okay." The forest near their home was deep and dark, but also full of secrets. Birds sang high in the trees. Rabbits hopped along the paths. Squirrels chattered and dropped nuts from the branches above. Every morning, Hansel and Gretel helped their father gather wood. And every night they dreamed of a world where bread was soft and warm, and cakes never ran out. One day, their father sighed deeply. "My children, I must go deeper into the forest for work tomorrow. The trees there are thick, and I will need your help. Stay close and listen carefully." Hansel nodded. Gretel squeezed her father's hand. They promised to be brave. The next morning, sunlight peeked through the window. Hansel had an idea. He put small white pebbles into his pocket. "Why are you doing that?" asked Gretel. Hansel whispered, "Just in case we get lost. These pebbles will help us find our way back." Gretel smiled. "You're so clever, Hansel." They followed their father into the forest. The trees grew taller and taller. The air smelled of pine and moss. The forest floor was soft with leaves. Hansel quietly dropped one pebble after another behind him. Plink, plink, plink. At last, their father said, "Stay here, children, I will chop wood nearby." He walked away, and soon the sound of his axe echoed through the trees. But after a long time, the sound grew faint. Then it stopped. Silence filled the forest. Gretel's eyes grew wide. "Hansel, where is father?" Hansel squeezed her hand. "Don't worry, we'll follow the pebbles home." And so they did. The moon shone down, silver and bright. Step by step, they followed the shiny stones until, at last, they saw their little cottage. Their father was waiting, arms open wide. "Children, you're safe!" he cried, hugging them tightly. But the next day, again, he said, "Come with me into the forest. I need your help once more." Hansel tried to gather more pebbles, but this time the door was locked. He could only find small crumbs of bread. He tucked them into his pocket and whispered to Gretel, "Don't worry, I'll drop these crumbs so we can find our way back." They walked into the forest once more. Hansel dropped the crumbs one by one, but little sparrows flew down. They pecked up every crumb. Oh dear. When the children tried to follow the trail, there was nothing left. Not a crumb. Not a speck. The forest stretched out around them, tall, wide, endless. Gretel's lip trembled. "We're lost, Hansel." Hansel hugged her. "Don't cry. We'll find a way." They walked and walked. Days passed. Their tummies rumbled louder and louder. Then one evening, as the golden sun began to set, Gretel sniffed the air. "Do you smell that? It's sweet." Hansel sniffed too. Like sugar, like cake." They followed the smell through the trees, and suddenly, oh, they gasped. Before them stood the most magical house they had ever seen. The walls were made of gingerbread. The roof was covered with cookies. The windows sparkled with sugar, and the door was shiny with candy canes. "Wow!" Hansel whispered. "It's a house made of sweets!" Gretel clapped her hands. "It's like a dream!" They ran to the house. Hansel broke off a piece of bread from the wall. Crunch! Gretel licked the sugar from the window. "Yum!" Then a gentle voice called out, "Well, well, my little darlings, who's nibbling on my house?" An old woman stepped outside. She leaned on a cane, and her smile seemed kind. "Come in, children," she said sweetly. "You must be hungry. I have plenty of food inside." Hansel and Gretel looked at each other. Their bellies growled. They nodded and followed her in. Inside, the table was filled with food: warm bread, roasted vegetables, creamy soup, cakes and pies. Hansel and Gretel ate and ate until their tummies were full. That night, the old woman gave them soft beds with blankets as cozy as clouds. Hansel and Gretel fell fast asleep. But the old woman was not as kind as she seemed. She was a wicked witch. She had built the candy house to lure children. She planned to keep Hansel and Gretel forever. The next morning, Hansel woke to the sound of a key turning. He found himself locked inside a cage. The witch cackled. "You will grow fat, boy, and then I will cook you up. As for you, little girl, you will do all the work for me." Gretel's eyes filled with tears, but she stood tall. "I won't let you hurt my brother." The witch only grinned. "We shall see." Each day, she gave Hansel extra food. "Eat, boy, eat," she ordered. But Hansel was clever. Whenever she asked him to stick out his finger so she could check if he was plump, Hansel held out a little bone instead. The witch's eyes were weak, and she couldn't tell the difference. Days passed, and the witch grew impatient. "Enough! Fat or thin, I will cook him tomorrow!" She ordered Gretel to heat the oven. Flames crackled. "Check inside, girl!" the witch barked, but Gretel knew it was a trick. If she bent down, the witch would push her in. So Gretel said, "I don't know how to check. Can you show me?" The witch huffed. "Foolish child, like this." She leaned in to look inside the oven. Quick as a flash, whoosh! Gretel gave her a mighty push. The witch tumbled inside, and Gretel slammed the door shut. The fire roared. The wicked witch was gone. "Hansel! Hansel!" Gretel cried, rushing to the cage. She found the key and freed her brother. They hugged tightly, tears of joy streaming down their faces. "We're safe, Gretel," Hansel said. "Yes, safe," Gretel whispered, smiling through happy tears. As they looked around the house, they found chests of gold and jewels, shiny coins, sparkling gems. Enough treasure to last a lifetime. Hansel said, "Let's take this home to Father. We'll never be hungry again." Gretel nodded. "And we'll always stay together." They carried the treasure in little bags and followed the forest paths. Birds fluttered overhead, guiding them. The trees seemed brighter. The air was lighter. And soon, they saw their father's cottage. Their father ran to meet them. "Hansel!" "Gretel, you're alive!" He hugged them close, tears falling. When he saw the treasure, his eyes grew wide. From that day on, Hansel, Gretel, and their father lived happily and safely. They never went hungry again, and every night they shared warm bread at the table, smiling at each other with love. The moral of the story, my dear friends, is this: with clever thinking, kindness, and courage, even the biggest problems can be solved. And no matter what happens, love and family will guide you home. And that is the story of Hansel and Gretel. If you liked this story, don't forget to join us again for more magical tales every week. Sweet dreams, little ones. Good night.